Is Christ mentioned in the ancient Vedic scriptures? Is Christ mentioned in the ancient Vedic literature? I will show you a mountain of evidence, and you decide. You make your mind up, make up your mind for yourself. Again, I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm just here to share my research with you. As a measure of service to my fellow human beings. I have been looking into these subjects, and they're currently not being covered, that I know of. So I feel obligated in this matter that I should bring these to your attention with the corresponding evidence. Linguistic, philological, philosophical, theological, literary, and so much more. So each different subject that I'm taking on, as you can see from my other videos, the subject matters are, just a wide range, completely far and wide. And that's the state of things. That's the shape of things right now, currently in our world. We have to look at a diversity of areas, of subject matters, from physics to chemistry, to ecology, to philosophy, to linguistics. Everyday life is composed of a plethora of different things. So, we are the ones in our minds that dissect, analyze, categorize these things as such, but in reality, life is one, right? So, truth is one. So, I'm gonna get ahead of myself a little bit here and just answer some questions that will come to the educated mind immediately. Like, why hasn't somebody else covered this? Or have they? Voltaire, of all people, the very famous French literary writer, thinker, philosopher in the 1700s, he actually delved into this matter quite extensively. I'll have to do a different video on that because this video is going to be long enough. I think he paid the ultimate price for doing so because he was really famous. And these things threaten the current power structures. They threaten the institutionalized thinking, of those with limited abilities that are seeking to have power over the rest of us. Okay, and it's humans and non-humans alike. What do I mean by that? Well, there's major spiritual influence all around us, and you'd have to be blind not to see it. But I'm sorry to say that most people are. So we all are. We all are. It's this whole waking up, this whole red pill it's a long journey. It's not a sprint. It's not I'm woke. I woke up. I took the red pill. I'm awake, I can see everything, my eyes are open. It doesn't really work like that. You might think you do, but I'm telling you, every single day you find new trails, new rabbit holes to go down through, and you're constantly chasing that white rabbit all over the place. And there might be more than one, so there's just so many things. Again, back to the subject. Why would Christ being mentioned in ancient Vedic literature, Vedic scriptures be so important or not? Am I imagining things? Am I hallucinating? Have I been reading way too much into this? Well, you be the judge. I will give you the evidence, and it's, I'm actually just going to cover a few books, and it's just amazing, and it's so much, and it's so intertwined into the language that it's hard not to see it. However, why haven't people seen it before? Like I said, there might be some people that have. It hasn't been widely distributed. This knowledge hasn't been made, available for most of the masses, and that's by design. Keep people dumb and stupid, and laboring away at daily life without thinking too much, and that's the game. So we have to be wiser than that. We have to know what the playbook of the enemy is, so that we can beat it. You have to know the place that the opposing team is running against you. Otherwise, how are you going to defeat them, right? Especially if you don't know you're in a game, if you don't know you're in a war, if you don't know if you're in a struggle, you're in a fight. Oh, it's just life. Oh, well, things are not happening by accident. Things are happening by design, and we have to wise up. We have to open our eyes. Some people are going to say, "Oh, you're crazy. You're nuts. You're doing syncretism. You're trying to do a one world religion." And I've spoken about that in my other videos. Truth is one, and if truth is one, ultimate truth, ultimate reality, absolute truth is one, then you will find at the end of that rainbow, you will find that there is one God. You can call it monism, you can call it whatever you want, but I'm not great about the labeling, the name calling. It's not going to help. That's a strategy used by the enemy, by the adversary, to play your mind against you. Okay, so you need to have your mind play with you. Your mind is a tool that can be used by you, your soul, for you, not against you. So you have to be wiser than that. Okay. Well, then what is religion? You go down to, is it the rituals? Is it not the rituals? Is it who you pray to? Is it how you pray to? Is it, if you dance, if you chant, if you meditate, if you stand up, if you do it in silence, if you do it with other people, if you wear funny clothes, if you don't wear funny clothes, if you're very sober, if you're very joyful. I mean, it really, in my opinion, from reading all these texts, really doesn't matter so much the art that you use, okay? The steps that you use. It matters more your level of consciousness and whom you're praying to, okay? And the reality that you're discovering constantly. So, Christ being in the Vedic literature, I didn't put him there, of course not. He put himself there. God put him in there, and possibly for a future generation like our own to find and discover. Okay, why is it? Well, I have him in the Bible, so that's enough for me. That's great. Okay, that's all you need. Then beautiful. Okay, the Bible is the inspired Word of God, and it's complete. However, everything, you have to know that the fallen entities, the fallen angels have looked to corrupt and disrupt and taint every single little aspect of our lives, everything. And they've mostly succeeded. They can only succeed in as much as you let them, okay? So again, we go back to this catch-22, this chicken and the egg. How can I know I'm being deceived if I don't even know I'm being deceived? Well, you inch a step closer to Christ, you inch a step closer to God, and then He inches a step closer to you, and that's the game. And you have to, just be at the mercy of Christ, be at the mercy of God, and let Him guide you. Again, why is this so momentous that He appears foretold and in the Vedic scriptures? Because these scriptures are the oldest known to man. These are the oldest literature available to humankind that we know of. Widely speaking, outside of the secret library in the Vatican, which is the Library of Babylon, where they have their secret texts. They don't want to share. They don't want to play with us. Okay, so, but God, made the Bible widely available for everybody. So did He make the Vedic scriptures, the Vedas themselves, and the Upanishads, which are tied to the Vedas. Now, there's a big movement right now from some Indian or Hindu scholars, from Bharat scholars, in the USA, in India, and worldwide, where they're going back to these ancient texts and they're finding real live evidence showing that they are in fact real. They are in fact itihasa. They are in fact histories, real histories. They're not myths. They're not mythologies. They're not legends. They're completely 100% real. They're finding all kinds of evidence, hydrological evidence, geological evidence, archaeological evidence, all over the place. And they're doing the same thing that I'm doing. They're going out and pulling from different fields of study that are completely unrelated, have no vested interest in the outcome. And, they're all tricked. They're all tricked. They're all corrupted. But, the truth starts seeping out through the cracks, I'm telling you. Okay? So, if you are a Hindu, if you believe in the Hindu religions, if you are a Muslim, if you are a Christian, if you're a Catholic, if you're an atheist, if you're an agnostic, doesn't matter, you can listen to this, you can make up your own mind, look at the evidence, and see where it takes you. Yes, there's been, oh my gosh, the church and, the Inquisition, and they've killed so many people, and, how can you be pushing this? I'm not pushing anything, okay? I'm going to show you the evidence, and you go ahead and draw your own conclusions, okay? So, yes, there's been evil done in the name of pretty much everything. But again, that's a strategy of the devil, of the evil ones, okay? Of these fallen entities. And it says so in the Upanishads as well. So I'm going to read from them, and I'm going to show you the Sanskrit, I'm going to show you the English translation, I'm going to show you the mistranslations, and then I'm going to show you the literary translations, okay? So all these things are going to help you get a better picture of what's really going on. Now, it's hard enough to, read the Bible in English. Now, if we're trying to, find the original text, we have to go back to the Greek, We have to go back to the Aramaic Targum. And we have to, as far back as we can go. Why is this a good strategy? That I think is a good strategy. Because you're trying to fly past, in time, through the literature, past, the enemy's distortions, okay, per se. You're trying to get behind enemy lines of sorts, fast before the corruption. And we might get there, we might not. So we're really going to need to have a good compass, and the compass could be based on, the gospel, the 4 gospels. That's a good basis to have. And also the Bhagavad Gita, okay? So you're pulling from these 2 very ancient sources from very different parts of the world, and that's going to give you a triangulation so that you don't lose your bearings, okay? So again, forget everything that you've been brainwashed into, washed into by, all these black, dark, occult magicians that have been, manipulating your mind. And, forget, I'm a Catholic, or I only believe in this, or I can only read from this book, or I can only listen to this preacher, or I hate all the Christians, or I hate all the Hindus, or, man, I'm not from India, or I'm not from America, or I'm not, black, or I'm not red, or I'm not white, or I'm not Chinese, or whatever, okay? You need to get out of that mind prison, and you need to open your mind right now, okay, to the truths. Okay, so you can find your own truths, which is going to lead you to the greater truth, okay? Because individual perception is that, it's individual. It's a tailor-made life. That's why everybody has their individual life that nobody else can live through it. Even twins, doesn't matter if you have the same exact place, same exact body as somebody else, your life's going to be completely different, okay? So that's the proof right there. The proof's always in the pudding, like they say. And so it's really, really important that Christ is mentioned in the Vedic literature because it's so old, it's so ancient, okay? Current scientists, I'm sorry about using the word, I'm going to call them researchers, investigators, are dating the Mahabharata around 5,500 before Christ, whenever that was, because we don't really know when Christ came to earth. We're thinking it's 2,021 years ago. It could have been 1,021 years ago, which might even be more accurate. I don't want to get into all that right now. It could have been 500 years ago. It could have been more. We don't really know. We don't know the exact timeline because everything's just been played with completely. Everything's been corrupted. Okay, they're trying. It's not 100%. So we have to start fighting back, and you start fighting back from within. Okay, that's the real key. You have to find your way back to your own soul, to the realization of your soul, and in doing that, you find the way back to the source, whom is God, whom is Christ. I don't know. I don't really mind what you call him. You call him whatever you want to call him, but we're referring to the maker of this place, of this realm, of this holographic reality, or this material reality, and the spiritual reality. There is the maker. Okay, so Ramayana experts, this other epic, ancient epic, they're dating it past 12,000 years, okay, before Christ. And that's huge because then that would make the Vedas and the Upanishads even older than 12,000 years ago. So you're going back really thousands of years ago. And again, these are not hard numbers. It could be 5,000, it could be 6,000, it could be 200, it could be 600. We don't know. What we do know is that these texts from a very different culture that is thousands of kilometers away, the Indian remnant culture, their texts are saying the same exact thing that we got from the Jewish tradition of the Bible, the Greek texts, the Aramaic texts that have been translated then into Latin, into English, into Hebrew, and no, I don't believe in the Dead Sea Scrolls. I'll do another video on that. That sounds like complete psyop. Okay, it's like just got psyop written all over it. So don't fall for it. Okay, give me a break. I don't want to get into it too much, but we found these things in a cave somewhere, and a little shepherd boy, and it's too fake sounding for me these days, because the news is 100% fake. Everything fake news. We even had our past president telling us that. He was saying it over and over again, and people thought, oh, it's a joke, it's a political thing. No, he was telling us the truth, but we've been so dumbed down that we don't even understand that anymore. Okay, so going back to the subject, we have here clear evidence, literary evidence, okay, philological and linguistic evidence, which I'm going to show you here in a minute. I'm going to read directly from it. I'm going to put it on the screen. And feel free to research it, look into it, and tell me if I'm wrong. Please comment. Let me know your thoughts. Hey, Alex, you missed this. Here's another thought. Here's another direction. You misinterpreted this. You added here. You subtracted there. I don't agree. I disagree. I do agree. You could, so, and give me pointers. Give me your feedback. Hey, you need to read this book or this other thing. I'm like all ears. I'm listening to all the constructive criticism out there, and feedback. Not just criticism, but the feedback. Okay, the sharing of the ideas, because we need to come together. Okay, That's the most important thing. Again, this is momentous. This is so important because the most ancient writings known to us are mentioning, are foretelling or prophesying the coming of YahShua, the Savior of humankind, the Son of God, okay? The one and only begotten Son of God. And it's not the first, it wouldn't be the first race that he saved. And I'll show you where it says that. It mentions the war in heaven and how he had to step in. And this is not mentioned in the Bible, but it's mentioned in the Upanishads of all places. Now, why is it so difficult for this to come to our attention? Well, firstly, it's written in Sanskrit, and Sanskrit uses a different script. It uses Devanagari script. Sorry for butchering these words. Devanagari. So Sanskrit, or Samskritam, as some people call it, it's a different language. It's more than likely our original language. I'm not going to get into that too much because that's a long conversation for a different video. But all my research is pointing to the fact that Sanskrit or Samskritam is the one original language of humankind that was given to us by our Creator. Okay, it wasn't made by humans. It wasn't made by the fallen angels, which they want us to believe. They have so many levels of deception. Okay, so you have to be on your toes. You have to be on your toes about it. It was created by God. It was given to us, and it was the one language spoken by all humankind in all the continents, in all the islands, everywhere. And it was then corrupted, and we got handed down these fabricated, artificial, manipulated, fake languages like English, Russian, French, Spanish, all these languages, and they all have all their roots come from Sanskrit, all of them. I don't care which language you mention. If it's Tamil, if it's Mandarin, if it's even Swahili, even Zulu, they all have the roots from Sanskrit. How is that possible? The Sanskrit is huge. It's got more than 500,000 words. So and that we know of. So I mean, it dwarfs the English language by far. By far, okay? It's like 5 or 10 times larger. And imagine how many people are speaking English right now, okay? I don't believe the current population figures. I'm sure you don't either, but it's more than 1 billion people, let's say, maybe. Okay, it's more. There's more than 100 million humans on Earth, maybe. Okay, so, and we've been speaking English like in most countries for at least 100 years, and they've spoken it in England for longer than that, 200, 300, 500 years. So many people speaking any one given language for such a long time. It's going to grow, right? So all these new words. And, still Sanskrit dwarfs English by, 5 times, 10 times, or even more. So, run the numbers. That's going to give you some impressive numbers. So how many people did speak it at one time? For how long? So it was a very long time, and it was a huge worldwide civilization. Again, I don't want to get into that too much right now. I'm going to keep going because this video is going to be long enough. So if you're reading the Vedas or the Upanishads, you have to know the Sanskrit or you have to know the Samskritam. And then you have to be able to read the script because it's a different script. Like Cyrillic script is different from our Western script. And then like the Arabic script is different, from our script too. So Sanskrit has a different script, and it's called Devanagari. So you have to know that, and then, thankfully, we have some people that have transliterated the Devanagari script into our Western script, and then so you can kind of read the Sanskrit there, in our Western alphabet, and then from there they are pulling the translations into English or other languages. English, German, Spanish, but a lot of the researchers back then were German of origin. Like, all these big thinkers that we had, back in the 1700s, 1800s. So anyway, lest I get sidetracked, staying on the subject, it's really hard then if somebody hands you an English translation and doesn't show you the Sanskrit, you have to be suspicious, because just like in the Bible, where did you come up with this stuff? How did you translate it? What kind of criteria did you use? Because we know a single word in Sanskrit can have multiple meanings, and most of the time they do. Even in English, we have so many words that that have so many different meanings. Just like grass, it could mean something that's growing on your lawn. It can mean something that you smoke. There's just so many meanings to every single little thing, right? Okay, so how do you pull these translations? So in essence, you have to do your own translation of sorts. Okay. Oh, and then people can critique and say, well, then you're just making the word say whatever you want to see, and you're making them say whatever you want to say. Not really, because I'm going to show you how I do it, and that's the difference. Okay. Because then you can draw your own conclusions, draw your own definitions, and then you correlate that to the Bible and to what your current events, what you're witnessing in real life, and then you can find what the real meanings are, or what the intended meanings are, right? So that's the playbook that I'm showing you. Those are the keys to the truth. Okay, so it's sort of anti-evil playbook that you can follow along on your own and develop some more keys of your own, so that you can triangulate the truth. The whole idea here is we live in a sea of lies, in a samsara of lies, and everything is fake. How can we find out the truth? Well, you start inch by inch, and you start triangulating your position hard when you find like some shred of truth, and then you go from there. Okay, and then you keep iterating and reiterating every single position, and you keep running it through whatever you start discovering. So that way you can keep questioning any and all assumptions that you might have or you might have had along the way to the truth. Okay, so here we go. Again, it's really hard, and like, just imagine if some of these people are bought and paid for, or some of these people have sold their soul to the devil, or some of these people signed over their soul in blood, like they all do. Okay, and they're back in Germany in the 1700s, 1800s. We find these texts in India when we went there, and we killed so many people, and here we go translate that, and let's see what we can use. And then they're like, oh my gosh, this is talking about Christ. I can't believe it. Well, use alternate meanings. Try to hide it. Don't how can I mistranslate it? Just do the alternate translations. Okay, so I'll get to that in a second. Firstly, then, the Bible. Okay, we have the book of Apocalypse 12:7, Revelation 12:7. Okay, and this is talking about the same thing as the Upanishads, and I'm going to read from the Upanishads later. So you might be more familiar with this if you're from a Western Christian background. If you're atheist, if you're an agnostic, just take this as entertainment and look into it. Okay. If you're Hindu or Muslim, again, you should start researching this and then go back to the Vedic scriptures. So Revelation 12:7, I like to call it Apocalypse 12:7. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Now, you can continue reading or not, but that's the nitty-gritty. It mentions there was a war in heaven, It mentions there were two sides, the good angels, the bad angels. They fought one another, and the good angels won. But that passage has always raised so many more questions with myself and with other researchers as to how did the bad angels lose? How did the good angels win? Michael, yes, Mikael, who is the closest to God, he who is like God is the meaning of that name in Hebrew, is he beat Lucifer, but he wasn't as strong as Lucifer. And there's other passages that mention that in the Bible. I'm not going to read all of them because it's going to take long enough, but you can research them on your own. So the Bible mentions clearly that Lucifer was the strongest creation as far as the angels are concerned of God. And he was just beautiful and decorated with jewels, bejeweled and bedazzled, and just so strong. And you wonder, how did this happen? And then he also mentions that the devil was a dragon. So we know from other scriptures, and if you read the Bible in different places, you know that angels can shapeshift. They can appear, they can disappear, they can teleport, they can become invisible, they can become visible. So they have different powers that are mentioned in the scriptures. So it seems like one of the tricks that the devil did was he turned himself into like the most beastly, ghastly, terrifying thing that he possibly could, most powerful incarnation that he could, so that he would devour Michael and everybody else, right? But it doesn't mention that Michael changed shape. That's very interesting. So I don't want to waste too much time on this, spend too much time on it. It's not wasted time. It's greatly invested time. And I'll do another video on this particular subject because it's so interesting. And but again, how did they win? It doesn't mention how they win. It doesn't mention what made them, overtake the enemy or overpower the enemy. Because, but the Upanishads do mention it. Okay, so I'm going to read from that here in a second. Let's move over there. Give me a moment. I am doing this pretty much live. And so we come to where the war in heaven is mentioned in the Upanishads, okay? The war in heaven is mentioned in the Upanishads, which are linked to the Vedas. So we have here the Chandogya Upanishad, and this is one of the oldest Upanishads. It's called one of the Mukhya Upanishads, one of the primary, Upanishads. It's listed as number 9 in the canon of the 108 Upanishads. And like I said, it would reasonably be dated over 12,000 years ago. Of course, mainstream people are going to tell you, a lot less than that, but the newer researchers are coming up with a Ramayana at 12,000 years ago. And so this would place all the Upanishads at an earlier date, much older than that. Okay. Chandogya Upanishad means, Chanda is sort of a poetic meter. And Ya, remember, means God. And a lot of people miss that. That's a huge one. Ya means God, means in Sanskrit. So it's referring to him. The literal translation of Ya is him or his, or he who, okay? So, and it's the same in Hebrew. So that's a huge one. So there you have something really important there. Key phoneme, and it starts. So I'm going to read a little bit from the Chandogya Upanishad, not too much. And it starts with the invocation, and then it starts talking about what the primordial sound is, what Om is, this sound that we hear everybody practicing yoga and in the New Age communities practicing. But I'm not pushing New Age, I'm not pushing witchcraft, I'm not pushing sorcery. These are all fake things. These are all corruptions of the real thing, which is the yoga, the Vedic knowledge, the Vedic practices. So you have to keep that in mind. Just like, Christianity has been corrupted through the mega churches and the Bible. There's so many translations which are mistranslations, and you have Catholicism, and you have these other sects here and sects there. I'm not pointing fingers, but the thing is, you have to be careful of labeling, okay? And you have to go more towards the root material, towards the source, okay? So at the beginning of this Upanishad, they're mentioning, what Om is and what's so special about it. They're making the invocations, again, always very deferential in the Vedic literature, or always very humble, giving their obeisances and, humbling ourselves, or, whomever wrote this themselves, or ourselves, if you're reading it, before the Creator. And it says in the Chandogya Upanishad 1.1.1, it says in English, I'll read in English, Om indeed is the utterance that is worshipped as Udgita. Om, which is chanted at the beginning of worship, the following is its definition. So it then goes into the definition. And I've run my own literary translation of the Sanskrit, and it's pretty much matching there. There's not a whole lot of monkey business there or mistranslations. Udgita, here it's telling you it's a sacred sound, but that's not exactly so. So this is where I'm telling you the translations can get funky. Ud means up and like high, ascension. Gita is a song, like Bhagavad Gita, the song of the Lord. So Ud means the high song, or the song of praise, or the song of uplifting, or the song towards the Most High. That's what it means, Udgita. So it's telling you that Om is the Udgita. Om is the highest sound. It's the highest praise towards the highest, the Most High. Okay, the Most High God. That's what Om is. Okay, so that's very interesting. That it's giving you that definition, and we could do a whole series of videos on Om alone. There's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of books and verses written about Om. So, but this is the raw material. This is the essence. Okay, right here, the Vedas and the Upanishads. Then going forward, it's telling you that Om is that which is the supreme of all essences, that which is the final chapter. That is the Udgita. Okay. Here we go. So you get to Chandogya Upanishad 1.2.1. And I'm going to read for him. When the gods and the fallen angels, both born of Prajapati, the lord of all creatures, entered battle, the gods grasped the Udgita, thinking, with this we will overpower them. So here, again, the translations. It's saying the Devas fought the Asuras. What's a Deva? The Devas were the gods like Indra and other such gods of the Hinduistic pantheon. They were not really gods, okay? The word Deva is where we get the word divinity. It's that root for divinity. These are divine celestial beings, which in the Western tradition are known as angels. So these are the quote-unquote good angels. They were fighting the Asuras. Sura means angel. That's the literal word angel in Sanskrit, and you can research it. Don't believe me. Asura means not an angel. So why would you say not an angel? A is the negation in the beginning, like asymptomatic, or any other word that starts with that negation of a. So not an angel. Why would you say that it's not an angel? Well, a chair is not an angel. A dog is not an angel. So it could be anything, right? Well, no. This is what it's meaning, is something that was an angel at some point in time, but is no longer an angel. Okay? So that's what it's meaning. And the Devas, it's referring, it's deferential connotation to the celestial beings, whom are the angels. And it's saying right here, both were born of Prajapati, which is another name that they give the Creator, the Lord of all creatures. And they said they went into battle. So this is the same as Revelation 12:7. Apocalypse 12:7 is the same as the Chandogya Upanishad 1:2:1. Okay, right here. They entered into battle. Okay, and so the Devas, the good angels, they grasped the Udgita, thinking, with this we will overpower them. What does that mean? They grasped the Om. They grasped the chanting to the Most High. And they thought they were going to win, okay? So let's see what it says in 1.22. They worship the Udgita as prana that circulates through the nose, but the demons pierced it with evil. Therefore, one smells both pleasant and the unpleasant. Prana indeed is pierced by evil. Okay, this is a really important passage right here. It's so important because this is going to show the mistranslation that comes up later. Okay, in a few more verses, I'm going to show you. I'm going to bust open the mistranslation that they use there. Like, quite possibly they did it on purpose, or they just out of lack of skill. You might think that, but I'm not skilled. I'm not a scholar. I'm not a professional Sanskrit translator by any stretch of the imagination. So you probably figured that out already. And I'm just a layperson. I'm just, a nobody, pretty much like everybody else out there. And I think that's what's helping me, because honestly, I have no vested interest. I have no, I'm trying to have, remove the filters. Nobody can say they have no filter, but I'm trying to, widen my cosmological vision. And through some discoveries like the Book of Enoch, and that book is one of the big keys that ties in the Hindu or Bharat or in India histories with the Western Bible tradition. So the Book of Enoch, another great key to the truth. You need to read it, and you need to read it as a bridge between these two different dimensions or worlds. So then again, going back to the Chandogya Upanishad, it's telling you that the first strategy in the war in heaven of the good angels to try to defeat the bad angels was to use the Om, the power of the Om, which they knew was all powerful. They try to use the power of the Om through the prana, which is the air, the breath of life, the air of life, the prana that God gave them, and they were trying to channel that. But the Asuras, the fallen angels, remember the devil, they were stronger, so they pierced it with evil, and so even their prana, even their breath started stinking. It started becoming unpleasant. This is, imagine, you're trying to breathe and you're breathing in, just the most horrible, smells, and your breathing becomes labored and you can't breathe, you get choked out. So this is describing it very, very lightly, I would say, very artistically. But we don't know how bad it got. It probably got really bad. Okay, so then the good angels, Michael and his good angels, they went to a different strategy. So Chandogya Upanishad 1.2.3, then they worshipped the Udgita as speech. But again, the Asuras pierced it with evil. Therefore, one speaks both the truth and the untruth. So speech is indeed pierced by evil. Okay, and I've read the Sanskrit. I'm not gonna read it all to you, but and it vibes pretty much with the translation here. Of course, the words are all changed around, and there's added and less or more words, but the meaning is pretty much it. So again, that's where the lies come from. Remember, the devil is the father of lies. So the good angels try to use the power of the chant and the Om, the power that God gave them, and the speech to defeat the bad angels.
but the bad angels were more malicious, and they pierced the speech with evil. So there came the lies, there came the harsh language, there came the speech that is like a sword and negative. Then they tried another recourse, which was they tried to worship the Udgita's sight. But again, the fallen angels, or they were still not fallen at that point, they were the evil angels, pierced it with evil. Therefore, one sees both the slightly and the unsightly, the good and the bad. Okay, so they started seeing the good and bad things. So imagine you're in the middle of the battlefield. Okay, you can't breathe anymore. Okay, you're looking at the war in heaven. The good angels, they're fighting this war. They can't breathe. They're getting choked out. Okay, they can't talk. Their speech is cut off. They're saying things that don't make any sense. They're saying bad things to each other. Okay, miscommunications. There disruption in their communications, and then they can't see, or they're seeing things. They're hallucinating. They're seeing bad things. So the power of the evil ones was very powerful. And if you notice the pattern here, they're corrupting everything. They're tainting everything with evil, corrupting everything. And it's the same strategy they're using on earth against us right now. So we need to read this further and find out how they overcame them so that we can do the same, okay? The next one, it's 1.2.5. Then they worshipped the Udgita as hearing, but the Asuras pierced it with evil. Therefore one hears both, that which is worthy of being heard and unworthy of being heard, indeed pierced by evil. Again, so they were hearing things. So you're a soldier in the army of angels. You can't breathe. You're getting choked out. You can't speak. When you start speaking nonsense or harsh language to your fellow soldiers. You can't see. You hallucinate. You can't hear. You're hearing things. You're hearing screams. You're hearing horrible things. This was the power of the evil ones. And it's, again, I'm telling you, it's the same power they're using against us. You turn on the TV, it's all nonsense. It's all lies. It's all gibberish. And you're hearing it. You're seeing it. You're breathing it. Okay? Everything they're throwing at us in the way of pollution, it's the same thing they went through. Okay? You can't see straight. You can't hear straight. You can't think straight. You can't breathe straight. Okay? Everything is being corrupted by the evil ones. Okay? And so then the good angels, they to worship Udgita's mind. But the Asuras pierced the mind with evil. Therefore one thinks evil thoughts. So imagine the mind control. It's talking to you about mind control at this point. It's talking to you about things that you're thinking that are negative and evil in nature, and that those are not your thoughts. They're being placed there intentionally by the corruption of the evil ones. So then we get to the solution, and this is momentous. This is really important. Chandogya Upanishad 1.2.7. Then they worshipped Udgita as, and it says, and this is the mistranslation here, as the primary prana, but when the demons tried to pierce it, they themselves were pierced and got killed. Just like, a lump of sod or a clod of earth breaks to pieces when hitting a rock. Okay? As a clod of earth breaks to pieces on hitting a rock, so are those enemies pierced and destroyed, who wish evil upon the one who knows this, for he is a solid rock. And this is where the mistranslation comes in, because it doesn't make any sense, right? They already tried that strategy before, remember? In the previous one, in the 1.22, they worshipped Udgita as prana, and that didn't work because the evil ones pierced it with evil, and one smells both the good and the bad. So in 1.27, it must be an error in translation. They're trying to hide something from us. And this is the nitty-gritty. This is where Christ comes in. And this is where Christ is mentioned. It says right here, and I'm going to read this in the Sanskrit. So this is when you do your work and you go to the translators. There's a lot of internet translators, and you do word by word until you find the right meaning. It says, Ataha ya evayam mokya pranastam udgita upasam chakride tada asura. Hrudva vidvam suryata ashmanam akana murtva vidvamsete evam. Okay? So when you do a specific translation that it's a literal translation of that, here's what it says. And I did this on my own. Again, I'm not a scholar, I'm not a translator. I use the different online translators. You can find several on your own, and come up with your own conclusions. But this is pretty amazing. And the important thing is that you spot these inconsistencies. Okay, there was that inconsistency between those two, and you spot it right away where you're trying to really find the jnana. This is the way of jnana yoga. Okay, if you see a lot of people are shying away from it, you're not going to find a jnana yogi out there. It's going to be really hard, a real one at least, because everybody's trying to do bhakti yoga or seva yoga or kriya yoga or all these other yogas, which are great. Hatha yoga, they're wonderful. But this is the way of jnana yoga, where the knowledge itself guides you to the creator, towards the source, towards the truth. And it's also an aspect that we skip over because we don't want to see it at some point. We don't want to know what there is to know. We're afraid sometimes. And again, that's by design. We've had all these things being put on our head. So, Atahaya Evayam. Evayam means worship. Okay, so the translation there is good. Mokya, that's the key word. Listen to this. Mukti means liberation in Sanskrit, okay? We all know that. Moksha, mukti, they have the same root of that sound. Muk, mok, muk, mok. That sound means liberation in Sanskrit, okay? It's a sound that was designated by the creator, not by us. Ya means him, his. It's referring always to God, okay? So use that one in different contexts with the Sanskrit. So Mokya is going to be God's liberation, okay? And that is mind-blowing, because what is the name of Christ in Aramaic, in Hebrew? What's the name of Christ? It's YahShua. Yah, again, is talking about him. It's talking about God, he who, God. And Shua is salvation. So it's the salvation of God. And here, Mokya, it's exactly the same thing. It's God's liberation. It's God's salvation. So Mokya is the same as YahShua. And there you have it, folks. That's the smoking gun. That's the name of our Lord Christ, YahShua, our Savior, right here in the Chandogya Upanishad 1.2.7. Mokya, God's liberation, which is the same as YahShua, which is God's salvation, God's liberation, God's salvation. They had to worship him. Eva Yam. They had to worship him. Okay, Mukya also means a leader. It means an elected leader. Okay, Pranastam Udgitam, with their life force, with their life breath, when with the Udgita, with the highest praise, with the highest chant of Om. So it says here that the only way, because going back here, read 1.22, it says they worship Udgita as prana and the demons pierce it with evil. So that's not it, okay? So you won't go to 1.27, and they're trying to feed you the same thing. The translator here, they either were corrupted or they didn't know what they were doing. They couldn't believe that what they were seeing. They were told to mistranslate, or they didn't have the capacity, and they made a mistake. So Atahaya evayam mukya pranastam udgitam upasam chakrire tada asura. Chakrire means wheel. So it's wheeled around and it attacked the Asura, destroyed the Asura. Okay. So what this passage is telling you, what this verse is telling you, the shloka, it's telling you that the devas, the good angels, they had to fall down on their knees, fall down on their faces. They had to humble themselves before Christ, and they had to worship him. They had to elect him as their elected leader, okay, as their Lord and Savior, for with their life force, with their life breath, in the highest praise of Udgita, so that he could save them. Kaboom! My mind is blown, my soul is blown. I don't know if yours is, but this is incredible. Okay, this is incredible. Again, Mukya is the same as YahShua. Okay, and it's telling you, Evayam, they had to worship their elected leader. Mukya also means elected leader. Okay, and they had to do it with their prana in the Udgita, in the highest form of phrase, in the Om. So again, this is amazing. And that's the only way that they could defeat the fallen angels. So this explains Revelation 12:7. This explains Apocalypse 12:7. How Michael and the other devas or Indra, or however you want to call them, potato, tomato, tomato, they were not stronger than the devil. They were never going to be. They were getting their asses handed to them. Apologies for the wording. I apologize. They were getting destroyed. They were getting killed. They were getting demolished. Okay, it says right here. They couldn't breathe. They couldn't see. They couldn't hear. Okay, they couldn't talk. They couldn't listen. The evil dark occult magic of the devil was much stronger. They were never going to win. They were going to get annihilated. We would never be here. And so are we getting annihilated right now. Okay? So you better have a little come to Christ. Okay? You better start, going inwards into your own soul and getting right with God, getting right with yourself, getting right with your loved ones, getting right with your family, getting right with the real natural created world around you. Okay? And be the better version of yourself that you can be. Humbling yourself on your knees, on your face, worshiping the elect. We all know who the elect is. Okay, you have to know who the elect is. And guess what? The angels had to do the same thing. They had to do the same thing. They had to recognize Christ as their Lord and Savior, or they would have been annihilated. Okay, the same thing goes for us. And this is just amazing. This is amazing. It says the same thing in another Upanishad, and I'm going to read that from to you as well. But firstly, I'm going to go to here the Chandogya Upanishad 1.2.9. With the prana, which is the breath of life, also described in the Bible, one cannot perceive sweet or distasteful smells, for it is untouched by evil. When one eats or drinks with it, it supports the other pranas, and when the end of life approaches, it opens the mouth wide as if to welcome an end. But again, this is a mistranslation, because if you go to 1.22, it says that the evil ones corrupted the prana, so it doesn't make sense. So this again is talking about Christ. It's talking about the elect, the Son of God, the only one that is completely pure and uncorruptible. So that's why the attacks of the Asuras bounced off of him and returned like a wheel, like a boomerang, and hit them and destroyed them. Okay, and it's the same thing. If you see that that horrible, they're depicting the same thing in that horrible Last Jedi picture where they have the Rey girl and she's defending against the Emperor, and then sorry for the spoiler alert. So she defends and it bounces back on the guy and it destroys the guy. So it's the same here. The only thing that's uncorruptible, that is unpierceable by evil, is that which is completely pure and untarnishable, that which is Christ. Okay? So with Christ, one cannot perceive distasteful smells because he is untouched by evil. Okay? So that's momentous. Then he goes to 1.2.14. The wise one who knows the utterance Om as Udgita and worships it as such fulfills all his desires. Thus is the knowledge that applies to the higher self. Ajatman. I mean, all these translations are horrible. The higher self, the self, man, I don't want to get into that. I'll do another video on that. But it's not talking about self. It's talking about the highest soul. It's talking about God. Okay? So all this nonsense about you are God and you worship yourself and find your own, you are the God. This is Luciferian doctrine from the devil. Okay? So all the new agers need to be very careful with the translations you're being given, because you're being led down the wrong path. Okay, this is all talking about God and Christ. Okay, the highest soul, the wise one who knows the utterance Om and Udgita and worships. It's talking about Christ again, just like I showed you. So let's go back to that other Upanishad. I'm going to jump here to a different Upanishad, which is just as old, or if not older, than the Chandogya. And this one is called the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which means the Great Forest Upanishad. It's also one of the Mukhya primary Upanishads, as listed as number 9 in the Muktika canon of the 108 Upanishads. It's a key scripture of the Vedanta philosophy of Hinduism. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is one of the oldest, and it says here estimated 900 BC. That's complete and utter nonsense, okay? Complete and utter nonsense. If you believe that, I have some seaside property in Arizona I can sell you. So again, you need to do some investigation on the current status of the dating for the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. Mahabharata is being dated around 5,500 years ago. Ramayana 12,000 years ago, and this is much older. Okay, so much older. Brihadaranyaka means great forest. Okay, forest of knowledge, and the Advaita philosophy. And again, you have to be really careful with these introductions and these interpretations, which are, for the most part, complete and utter nonsense. You have to read the original text for yourself, and you have to exercise a lot of, mental acuity. For example, it says here, the Upanishad is the origin of the 4 Mahavakyas. That's true. Great sayings of the Upanishads. That's true. And it says, Aham Brahmasmi iti. I myself am Brahman. This is considered the climax, the highest peak of the Vedanta philosophy. What could be greater than the oneness of man and his supposed God? Bull nonsense. Okay, I don't want to swear here, but this is just makes my blood boil and my stomach turn. Okay, and that the problem with this type of tactic is that the Christians believe it, and they stay away from it because this is Luciferian doctrine. Okay, not the Vedanta, but this stupid thing that somebody wrote on here. There is no oneness of man and his supposed God. Man is not God, okay? Aham Brahmasmi iti, it means it's God talking. This is God talking, Okay, he's saying, I am that God. I am the God. Okay, I am myself God. But that is God talking to himself, or he's talking to us. Okay, it's not us talking to ourselves, and that is just blatant misrepresentation, mistranslation, misguiding you, and that's the devil. They're trying to corrupt the Asuras. They're trying to corrupt your interest in these texts. So you either shy away, or you delve into it with the wrong consciousness, and you're screwed, because then you're never gonna find your way through the maze, and you're never gonna reap the rewards. If you believe yourself to be a god, you're done, buddy. You're pretty much done, because and that's the whole New Age movement. Okay, I'm gonna meditate and do yoga by myself. I'm gonna lift myself up from my bootstraps, and I'm gonna become like a god. That's the devil talking. I'm not pushing that you read Luciferian doctrine, but that's exactly what they push, what they teach their adepts, their students, and it's complete and utter lies. Okay, it's nonsense, it's gibberish, it's bull crap. Okay, you cannot do that. Nobody can. Not even the angels could. They had to resort to Christ. Okay. Because, God Almighty wasn't going to lift a finger. He's like, fight it out, duke it out amongst yourselves. He's all powerful, okay? So let's dive into this Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, okay? Let's move forward, because it elaborates on the other Upanishad. It starts with the Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnam Udachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Ebhava Sishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And the translation again is horrible. It says Om, all that is complete, and all that is also complete. That's not what it means. Purnamada means perfection. Okay, Purna means perfect. That's the exact root word. Purna, perfect. Perfect, Purna. Okay, perfection. And it's telling you that, God is perfect, and if you take perfection out of perfection, he's still perfect. You cannot add anything to perfection. He's completely perfect and will always remain perfect. So that's very interesting there. And that's where you start opening your eyes to all these mistranslations, and you have to be aware and on your toes. And it starts talking about the beginning of the universe. This is talking about Genesis, the translation of the universe, the creation of the universe. Apologies. How God created everything, and this is their take again. Potato. So many interesting things. That's for another video. This is long enough. Sorry. You can read this and research it on your own, and it's very, very interesting. So here we go to 1.31, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, verse 1.31. There were two clans in Prajapati's dynasty. Remember, Prajapati, they're talking about God. The Devatas, which are the good angels, and the Asuras, the fallen ones. Indeed, the gods, or the Devas, were fewer in number, and the Asuras were more. They competed with each other for territory. Then the Devas said, let us defeat the Asuras in the sacrifice through the Udgita, the Om, the highest chant. Here it's here we go. So the next one, 1.32. Then they said toward the organ of speech, chant the Udgita for us. The organ of speech said, so be it, and chanted the Udgita. The material enjoyment from the chanting went to the gods, and the spiritual merits from the God good that was spoken went to the self. The Asuras knew that through this chanting, the gods would defeat them, so they attacked it and pierced it with evil. This evil is what we encounter when evil words are spoken. So the same thing, they're using different language, but it's the same exact thing as the Chandogya Upanishad. Okay, so I'm not going to read through all of it. I'm just going to put it here on the screen for you. And they attacked all their senses. They couldn't defeat them. They were about to get wiped out. Okay, and then look at this, and then it talks about how they beat them. So in the other one, I will show you how it was mokya. Okay, and it was evayam mokya pranam. Okay, and Udgita, right? So, and some people might say, well, is it talking about Christ? Is it not talking about Christ? And here I'm going to show you more evidence from a different Upanishad, and it's mentioning Christ by name again, okay? So, verse 1:3.8. Then the Devas said, where is he who has thus restored us to power? He is inside us indeed. He is the essence of rasa, of all the parts of the body. He is indeed Angirasa. Okay? So, and before that, the 1.3.7, then the god said to the prana, the life force in the mouth, chant Yudgita for us, so be it, said the prana to them. The Asuras knew that through this chanting the gods would defeat them. They attacked it, intending to pierce it with evil. But just as clod of earth is shattered when it strikes a rock, so the Asuras were shattered, flung in all directions, and were destroyed. Therefore the gods became superior to the Asuras. Thus he who knows this becomes superior to his hateful peers. Okay? And again, it doesn't make any sense because they already tried that in the previous verses. They already tried chanting with the prana, and the Asuras corrupted the prana, so they would smell foul things. So this is talking about something else. There's something else that's not being translated here. And that something else, then the gods said, they asked themselves in verse 1:3.8, where is he who has thus restored us to power? And then in the next verse, it gives us the answer. Verse 1.3.9. The name of this deity is Dur, because death is far from it. And so death is far from the one who knows this. And in Sanskrit it says, Savaesha Devata Dur Nama Duram Hijasya Murtyu Duram Hava Asmat Murtyu Vavati Ya Evam Veda. Okay, Veda as knowledge there. So it's telling you the name of the deity. The name of the deity, the name of the Devata, Savaesha Devata, Dur Nama, the name, Nama is name, Dur Nama, the name is Dur. So they're saying the deity, this supreme being that just saved their butts from annihilation, they're referring to him as Dur. So who is this guy that just saved us? That's what they're saying. Who is this guy that just saved our necks? Oh, his name is the door. He is the doorway. Okay? And that is completely mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Because listen to what John 10:9 says in the Bible. I am the door. If by me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find pasture. Okay? Now, it says the same thing in the Greek. I am the door. By me, if anyone enters, he will be saved, and he will go in and will go out, and pasture will find. Okay? Now listen to how in the Greek, and I'm going to put the Greek up on here so you can read the Greek as well. Listen to how, because you look at the Greek too, because you don't want to find a mistranslation in your Bible, which there are several translations, and a lot of them are corrupted. So you have to be very careful. And you look at the writing here of door in the Greek, it doesn't look anything like dur or door. And by the way, dur is the root word for door. So from dur in Sanskrit means door, and that's the phoneme, the root phoneme for dwar or door. In German it's Tür. Tür, and in English it's going to be door. So it's the same phoneme. I'm telling you, the phonemes don't change. The pronunciations change, the scripts change. But even the fallen ones cannot change the word of God. They cannot change the logos. They cannot change the memra. Okay? They cannot change the Udgita. They cannot change the Om, because it is perfect, because it's beyond corruption. And anything they do to attack it is going to fly back in their faces and destroy them. That's a big secret that is you're finding out by correlating the Bible and the Upanishads. So listen to how it's pronounced here. The word for door in Greek. Look.
Strong's G 2374. Thura. Thura.
Thura. Does that sound like door to you? Thora, door, Thor, Thora. Okay, and again, that's where that Norse mythology comes in, and that's going to be your Thor. Okay, so Thor is a depiction of that figure, that all saving grace of Christ, who saves you. But they have their own mythologies, and they misinterpret things their own way. But so you have that phoneme there, Thur, Thura. Thura means the door, Thura, and from there we get the door. From the Sanskrit door we get the Greek Thura. Remember, Greek comes from Sanskrit. It's a very badly spoken Sanskrit. They call it a corrupted Sanskrit as well, and like all our languages. So John 10:9 again. I am the door, or the doorway, or the gateway, whatever you want to call it. By me, if any man enters in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find pasture. So you can read the Upanishad as well. Where is he who has thus restored us to power? The name of this deity is Dur. Devata Dur Nama. It's saying the same exact thing. It's telling you, the Bible and the Upanishads, they're agreeing. Who is this guy? Who is this deity? Who is this being, divine being, that is higher than even the Devas? It's Christ, and he is the door, and he is the one being referred to as the door, and he's the one that saved their butts, and he's the only one that can save your butt. Okay? This is telling it to you right here. He's the only one that can save your soul, and we are facing an onslaught. I don't know if you've been out into the real world for the past couple of years, but we're facing an onslaught of biblical dimensions, epic proportions. We're under attack, and we can learn from the angels, from the devas, how they were able to survive. And here's the lesson. Here's the answer. Okay, next verse. This deity took away evil death from the gods. Okay. Carried it to where all the erections end, and left it there. Therefore, one should not go near a person from the ends, lest one be pierced by evil or death. This deity Dur, after taking away evil death from these gods of the senses, carried these gods of the senses beyond death. So it's telling you he made them immortal. Savayesha Devata. This deity, okay? It carried away, and it saved them. It's telling you, it saved them and made them immortal. It gave them immortal life. What's the Bible telling you about Christ? It's telling you the exact same thing. The exact same thing, okay? Okay? It's telling you that Christ is going to save you and give you eternal life. Okay? This is the smoking gun right here. Okay? Again, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, verse 1, 3, 11. This deity called Dur, which is the door, which is Christ, after taking away evil death from these gods, carried these gods, or these angels, beyond death. It gave them immortal life. Okay? And that's it. That's the evidence I have for you. You can go in the Bible, and there's just so many passages that I could read here for hours, but I think you can do a better job than I can. Look in the Gospels, and it says that Christ is going to give you everlasting life, immortal life. He's going to give you the same thing he gave his angels, because he's the Lord of hosts. He's the Lord of the angels. He's the Lord of all humanity, of all humankind. But you have to bend the knee. You have to fall on your face. You have to chant to him the highest praise. And you have to elect him as your elected leader, your Mukhya, okay? Your YahShua, your salvation through God. And only then will he come to your rescue and save you, okay, from these evil forces that are much more powerful than we are. They were powerful than the angels. They're going to be much more powerful than we are. There's so many people out there. You need to save yourself. You need to save. Yeah, you're going to do everything that you need to do. You're going to go like 100%, 1,000% of what your possibilities are. But in reality, you're no match for the devil. I'm telling you, okay? But there is one who is much higher, much more powerful. And it's not even a challenge, okay? His power is just unbelievable. And it says here in all this evidence of scriptures that I've given you. So again, please do your own research. Let me know your thoughts. Please subscribe, share with people you think might enjoy this or might help this in their lives. This is something that has to be shared with our fellow human beings. And love you guys. Wish you all the best of success. And God bless.